everyone, my name is Michelle. I'm a volunteer here at the Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center, and today I am hanging out with Tala, and we are doing our weekly wolf blog. So if you've been following a lot of posts on Facebook lately, Colorado Parks and Wildlife is trying to convince residents that wolves may be returning to the state. We haven't had wolves living here in Colorado since 1945. Now we have had a few wolves come down. They've crossed from Yellowstone and other surrounding states like Wyoming, and they've come down from Montana, Idaho. We did have a wolf that crossed from all the way from Wyoming down through Arizona or to Arizona, and unfortunately she was shot and killed only a couple of years ago. Now unfortunately last summer we did have a wolf that was shot outside of Kremlin, Colorado. That's outside of Denver. It's actually very close to Rocky Mountain National Park. So we do have them come through occasionally, but we don't have a standing wolf population. Now, the interesting thing is Colorado Parks and Wildlife is saying that we'll have a population of wolves very soon. Well, they've been saying this since 2004, when we had one of the first wolves hit on I-70. Now, the bad news is scientists say that there's no way for wolves to establish a population in Colorado without reintroduction efforts. So we are working with groups like Colorado Wolf Project to try and get wolves reintroduced into the state of Colorado, because it's very unlikely that they would actually establish themselves in the state without those reintroduction efforts. It's just interesting that Parks and Wildlife is putting out this information at this time when we are starting to push for a reintroduction effort into the state. So unfortunately, when it comes to wolves in Colorado right now, they are typically going to be lone wolves, wolves that have either broken off from their pack or have resulted, or I should say, wolves that have broken off from their packs, or wolves that are have lost their packs, such as wolves from Idaho and Montana, where they are actively hunting wolves. We've noticed that in the Great Lakes region, we had a lot of lone wolves starting to disperse to surrounding states in the couple of years that they did allow wolf hunting out there. So unfortunately with wolf hunting, you do break apart the packs, and then you get more lone wolves looking for new territories. So the bad news is when we do have these lone wolves coming through into the state of Colorado, a lot of times they end up getting either hit by cars, they're shot, they're poisoned, and they're just outright poached. Now, unfortunately, and we've talked about this before, there's a policy called the McKittrick policy, which essentially exists to protect poachers. Now, if you can imagine, if you had an elk license here in the state of Colorado and you shoot a moose, you're not only going to lose your hunting license, but you might even face jail time. But unfortunately for wolves, who are still considered endangered by the state of Colorado, if we were to shoot a wolf, because of the McKittrick policy, people can say, oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was a coyote. Even though they look nothing like coyotes. I mean, wolves have these short little round ears, coyotes have those big tall pointy ears, and of course wolves weigh a lot more, they're a lot taller, their tails don't touch the ground like the coyotes do, and of course their faces are totally different from coyotes. And of course, ignorance should never be an excuse when you kill an animal. So unfortunately, the McKittrick policy accepts ignorance as an excuse when it comes to killing wolves and other endangered species. So that's basically how this coyote hunter in Kremlin got away with killing the wolf last year, because he did claim ignorance. It's the same thing with the wolf that I mentioned earlier that had made it from Wyoming all the way down to the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So hopefully we will see wolves back in Colorado as a stable population one day. We do need it. We have over 300,000 elk in the state, and unfortunately we cannot support that many. So I know I've mentioned it previously in other blogs, but local wildlife biologists and district wildlife managers, they do believe that we do get wolves quite often coming down from Wyoming. Unfortunately, most of them end up getting shot and killed as they enter the state, because if a wolf does not have a radio collar on, we won't even know it's here in the state, and unfortunately there is a lot of poaching. People don't like wolves, and we do really need them here. That's where I was going. That's why we need wolves. So we do need wolves in the state because we do have over 300,000 elk, and unfortunately most of our elk stand around and they act like cattle. If you take a ride out to Rocky Mountain National Park, you're going to see fences 8 feet tall blocking off a lot of the areas in the park because the elk have caused so much damage. So when we saw the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone, the wolves broke up these large groups of elk and they turned them into a lot smaller groups that moved around more naturally, allowing for greater biodiversity and ecosystem growth. So I know I get the question a lot when we're doing these wolf vlogs with the treats, is what do I have in my hand? And it is, quite frankly, it's a piece of steak. So the wolves really, really like pieces of steak. So it keeps their attention. But anyway, guys, this was our weekly wolf blog. We hope that you will join us again next week for another blog, and we'll see you then. Wolves would do a very, very good job of...
There's something going on between Maggie and Burrito. They seem to be chasing each other up near the house. Somebody
crazy
get the chance to
ponies.
check it
No,
out.
you're not going to get the whole bag. She's like, that's the best prize, though.
I don't think we're going out with Big Kitty and go keep an eye on them.
Gonna turn that down. All right, so ignoring the crazy ponies. Where was I with my thoughts? I lost my train of thought, Tala. Ooh, look how big those feet are. No idea what I was talking about anymore. It's gone.